Hello, parents. Well, what a difference a week makes. Greetings from Mission Control, where we are T minus 15 hours, actually a little less now, before we launch our remote learning plan here at ACS. I've created this screencast this evening to support you in better understanding your child's daily schedule and his or her workflow during the next 4 weeks. I hope this information is helpful, and of course, as always, please feel free to follow up with me via email or by phone if you have additional questions. Your child will be receiving a different video from me via email that teachers helped me to create to explain our daily timetable and also the weekly workflow. The content is the same, it's just presented a bit differently. So make sure that your child has a chance to watch that this evening. As we get started tonight, I want to reiterate that while the news about school closure was new and surprising to many, we have been working for quite a long time on what we called a learning continuance plan here at ACS in the event that school had to close. I feel very confident that we have the resources, the skills, and most importantly, the mindset to be able to handle this challenge. And I know that it will be a challenge for students, for parents, and teachers, but we're well positioned for it. And so thank you to many of you who have reached out to offer your support and your encouragement and conveyed your trust in us. We truly appreciate it. In the development of our learning continuance plan, or our remote learning plan, as ADDIC has referred to it, we used these essential questions to guide our work. And we always came back to these questions as we prepared the plan. What's very important is that a remote learning environment is a significant shift for the way we know teaching and learning to be. It requires us as teachers to plan, instruct, and assess very differently. It is not possible, nor is it recommended, for us to recreate a face-to-face environment online. You will hear of schools that are trying to work in a synchronous environment. That is, they're asking students to be in front of their computers for the same amount of time that their class would take place and where their teacher is delivering direct instruction. This is not best practice, and it is not something that we are going to do over the next 4 weeks. In fact, we have spent a lot of time with our colleagues in various parts of the world who have been at this work for 6, 7, or even 8 weeks and have been able to identify for us very clearly what has worked and what has not. And so here at the high school, I would like to share with you what the remote learning plan will look like. First and foremost, we will continue to use the platforms in which you and your child are most familiar: Google Classroom and Veracross. We will blend a synchronous environment with an asynchronous environment, meaning there will be times where your child is synced up in real time with his or her teacher and his or her classmates during the course of a week. And there will also be time where asynchronous learning is happening, and that is where your child has been assigned tasks to complete that he or she can chip away at during the course of the week. Now, in an online environment, and many of you may have experienced these courses yourself, there is usually a designated start and end date to the week. In other words, all of your child's classes will not begin their week on Sunday and end their week on Thursday. Instead, teachers in specific periods will start the class on a given day and end the class the following week. So for example, if your child has global studies in period 1, their work week will be Sunday to Sunday. In other words, the teachers will release the learning plan On the first Sunday, students will chip away at that plan during the course of the week, and by the next Sunday, all of that content should be finished and will be on to the second week. During the course of a week, teachers will have one synchronous block per week with each class. In other words, if I was teaching global studies in period 1, there will be one time where I will have face-to-face real-time connection using Google Hangout Meet in order to connect with my students. But in addition, I will have 2 synchronous blocks per week that are going to be labeled office hours. During this time, I, as the teacher, will be at my computer and available to engage with students from any of my classes. And I might engage via email, I might engage via Google Hangouts, I might schedule a one-on-one conversation, even a phone call during these office hours. In this model, counselors have office hours and administrators have office hours as well. So when we created this schedule, we looked at our peers around the world and looked at their experiences. And the schedule that we will share with you today is not original. In fact, it is the preferred schedule for high school students around the world. It ensures that students do not have excessive screen time. They're not sitting in front of their computers for 6, 7, or 8 hours. It allows the workload to be spread out. Students will not have 4 or 5 classes, online classes, to contend with each day, so that they really can engage in deep and meaningful learning. And also the schedule that we have ensures that students remain connected to their teachers and to their peers. So here is a copy of the schedule, and let me walk you through it. Across the top in green, you will see dedicated time where teachers will be collaborating and working together on campus between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning. And that will happen to continue to support the moderation, the collaboration that we already have built into our schedule. So now let's look at Monday, because tomorrow is where we actually will begin this schedule. Look at the times on the left. You will see that the S, which stands for students, will have their period 3 class from 9 o'clock until 12 o'clock. So what this means is tomorrow, your child's period 3 teacher will present a learning plan for the week. All of that will be shared by 8 o'clock in the morning. And so early birds can get started at 8 o'clock, but all other students should log on by 9 o'clock. And from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, they should sift through that learning plan for the week and even begin the learning tasks that are embedded in there. Then you will notice that at 10 o'clock, their teacher will enter into the online platform and will greet students and will be with students from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Now, the online platform will be Google Classroom. And from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, teachers will be engaging in different ways. They will not be giving lectures for 2 hours via the computer, but they will be doing things like asking students to use Google Hangout Meet to have a video conference. They will be using Google Hangouts to have conversations. They will be using tools like Flipgrid or Parlay or different digital tools that we are already using to help students engage in content. Then there is a lunch break built in. On Monday, students enrolled in Islamic Studies in grade 9 and 12 would log in at 1 o'clock so that they have their course. And then you'll notice that it will be work time for students on Monday afternoon, and that teachers and counselors and administrators will come online for office hours between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. At that time, students in any of my classes could reach out to me, or I could reach out to them and do some work individually with them. I might have a phone call, I might have a video call, I might just answer an email, but I will be available for students. On Tuesday, your child will need to prepare for period 4 and period 5. And on Tuesday morning by 8 o'clock, the teachers will submit the learning plan for period 4 and period 5, and students can start working their way through that. On Wednesday, students will have period 6, some will have Islamic studies, and then there's another set of office hours for teachers to be available for your child. And then finally, on Thursday, students would have period 7, and they would have period 8 as well. Now, while teachers are developing these weekly plans, these learning plans, every plan is expected to have 4 elements, and you and your child should see these elements. Firstly, there will be a written overview of the week. This includes the learning outcomes, standards, what the focus is, and any connections to prior learning. This written overview will be posted in Google Classroom and Veracross, where you can see it as well. In addition to this written overview, trying to meet the needs of all learners, teachers will create a QuickTime video where they will talk through that learning plan, where they'll offer encouragement, reiterate expectations, and suggest what students should do if they get stuck. This video will also be in Google Classroom and Veracross. So you as a parent will be able to see what is the written overview of the week and how has my child's teacher explained it via this video. And again, this information needs to be posted by 8 a.m. on the day of the class. The second thing that you will see in all learning plans is that necessary content, where teachers are asking students to read, listen to podcasts, perhaps watch a video or watch a recorded mini lesson. And all of these content pieces will also be posted in Google Classroom. Then you will see within the learning plan learning tasks. And these are the assignments that students need to complete from the start of their class to the end of their class. These learning tasks will also be entered into Google Classroom and in Veracross. So you will be able to see what are the assignments, what is the work that my child is expected to engage in over the next week. And the fourth component that you should see in all of your child's learning plans is the Synchronous Meetup. When teachers have identified when and how they are going to be live with your child and all of his or her peers in a synchronous meeting. And this is really important. This is important to help your child stay connected to his or her teachers, to stay connected to his or her classmates, maintain the sense of community that is so important here at ACS. It's also going to be a chance for your child's teacher to determine if your child might need some additional support during office hours and how the teacher can navigate the next week based on what he or she is seeing from teachers. So this connect piece is really important. So these 4 components will be seen embedded within the learning plans that are released on the start of every week for a particular class. Now, this is very important, and we have learned a lot of lessons from our colleagues around the world. During the first week of remote learning, there will be no formatives and no summatives. Instead, what you will see in Veracross is that teachers will have indicated learning tasks and will document whether those were successfully completed by your child or not. And this is really important to gauge your child's engagement and participation. So do not expect to see formatives or summatives in week 1. When we launch week 2, week 3, I will provide updates about how we're going to handle assessments. In addition, attendance. Remote learning is unique, and so therefore we have to track attendance differently. So in the tools that teachers are asking students to use, they're able to track engagement and they're able to track participation. In addition, if a learning task is not completed, that's also a marker of attendance and engagement. And it's really important that I tell you that teachers and counselors are going to be closely monitoring this engagement and are expected to contact you directly if they're starting to be concerned. In addition, during that synchronous block, that one time where your child's class is all learning in real time, there will be one task that's expected of your child to finish before the end of that block of time. And that's another really good way for us to ascertain how engaged and how involved students are in the learning plan and the lesson. Now, we are very aware that some students will excel in this environment. Some students will tolerate it, and other students may have difficulties in this environment. And so our counseling team and our learning support teachers will formally check in with students who we think may need additional support in this environment. If you think your child would benefit from an extra layer of support, please contact your child's counselor now, and we can begin interventions right away to support your child. Okay, this is a lot of information. Let's boil down to what's next. So, make sure your child reads the email from me, which I am sending momentarily, and watches the first edition of ACS Today. So we will have, as a high school faculty, a daily video blog, if you will, or a daily magazine-style show to help students prepare for each day and prepare for the week. We hope to offer some humor and also some guideposts for how to help kids during this journey. Then reiterate to your child that he or she needs to enter the Google Classroom for their period 3 by 9 o'clock tomorrow, because the first class is from 9 to 12. Your child should not be staring at a screen from 9 to 12, but they should be engaged in the work that has been assigned for that class during that time. Now, if your child is an early riser, they can get started right away once teachers make the posts at 8 a.m. All right, well, if you've made it this far, congratulations. I finished our faculty meeting today with this visual, and I wanted to share it with you here. Every experience is an opportunity to learn and grow. There is a tremendous amount of learning that has already happened for myself and my colleagues in this last week, and so much more that will happen in the future 4 weeks. We are doing our very best to make this a smooth, productive, and dare I say, enjoyable 4 weeks. It's going to be different. There are going to be bumps in the road, but I hope that our partnership will help in the next 4 weeks to make this the best experience that we can. On Thursday, you will receive an email from me that's asking for feedback. I would really appreciate if you can give me some feedback about what the first week has felt like for your child and what it has felt like for you. And we will use this feedback to help us plan the next 3 weeks. Thank you so much for listening, for engaging, and being willing to try something new with us under less than desirable circumstances. We can do it. We are excited about doing this, and thank you for your cooperation and your partnership. We're going to be hitting the ground running in no time. Thanks a lot.